In this video, I'm going to show you how to turn an analysis into a standard, and then using that standard, create a calibration, and then applying that calibration to multiple samples. So the first thing that we want to do here is turn this particular sample, WT, into a standard. So if we double click on it, here under analysis type, we have many options, and the options you want to pick is standard. Okay? So when we turn that analysis into a standard, the software wants to know, okay, I'm going to create a standard, but what values am I looking for that standard? So you can type those values in here, or you can import them from the method. Now, if you import them from the method, they're going to be the values that you used in the method. So I can show you that. If we open this method, you'll see the standard values are here, which is for the WT standard. So if down the line you want to make your own standard, you would create a new method, and put in your values of that new standard here, and then the software would use those values to create calibrations and quantitate your data. So in this case, we're going to select standard, and we're just going to import them from the method. So these are the WT standard values there. And now we're going to save and close. So when you do that, it becomes blue, which means it's a standard analysis. So the white is a regular analysis, the blue is a standard analysis. So at this point, all we do is have a standard. We don't have a calibration for it. So let's build a calibration based on this standard. So when you run a sequence and the instrument sees a standard, it will automatically generate a calibration file and apply that calibration to all the runs after that standard analysis in an automated sequence. In this case, we're going to make one manually. So we'll go to calibrations, open the calibrations. Actually, no, let's make a new calibration. Calibration, new calibration. So what the calibration needs to know is what method are we running for this calibration. So in this particular run, it's classical pyrolysis TOC carbonate. So let's select that method here. And now we need to add standards. So you can add multiple standards to create multi-point calibrations, but at this point, we're just going to use one standard. So it'll be 1-point calibrations going through 0. So when we add standards, when I click on this button, the software is going to look in the database for any standards that were ran with this method name. So when I click Add Standards, it found several. Okay, here they are. And the one that we want is WT right here. And it's the one we just created in this step earlier. So we select that. Now we calculate. When you click on Calculate Coefficients, it's going to create the coefficients for the FID, the CO and CO2 detectors, and the temperature offset. There. So all of that data is now calculated, and we'll save and close, and we'll have a calibration, which is called May 10th, 2018, 11/28/17. Now, if you want to change this name, you can change it to any name you want, but I suggest you just leave the software to create the names automatically. So save and close. So now we want to apply that calibrations to data. The first thing we want to do, let's apply it to this actual standard, because if you look here, this standard was an analysis and it was based on a calibration of May 10th. Okay, which just a little bit earlier today. So, but we want to apply the new calibration, and let's apply it to that standard and to some unknowns. We can do this all at the same time. So click here, click the down arrow, and it's going to pull up all the valid calibrations on this particular computer. In this case, there's only two. There's one that was made a little bit earlier, and there's this calibration. And for the calibration source, you see it says manual, which means these calibrations were made manually like we're doing now. If you would run a standard in a sequence, it would tell you that it was made here by running a standard, not manually. So let's pick the calibration that we just created here. Okay. So do you want to change the calibrations for all these files that we selected? Yes, we do. Here. Okay? Now the data still hasn't changed because we haven't performed any calculations. You've just changed the calibration that we're pointing to, but we're not using that calibration yet. So we're going to run data calculations and quality control. So this is going to use that new calibration, use those coefficients to generate quantitative data. Okay, so what we've done now, we have changed all these analysis to a new calibration. So this is the calibration. So you see the number should be exact based on the method. Right? So if we open the method, we'll see these numbers here. They should correlate with the numbers that we see here because we're basically checking it against itself. And then these runs will be different analysis. It'll be different values because they are unknown samples, but based on that new calibration. And that's basically how you change an analysis to a standard and also apply that standard or calibration to multiple samples.